Hi, welcome to the Jem Hawkes YouTube channel. Thank you so much for coming to join me once again. Today I would like to teach you about how you can further enhance pretty much any of your wirework jewellery designs with a technique I refer to as vine work. And I'm going to show you two key techniques today, and I would tend to use either a 0.6mm gauge or a 0.8mm gauge wire to create these pieces. If you use much heavier gauges, you're going to find it really hard on your hands and your wrists after a little while. Short pieces, that's absolutely fine, but one thing that I will say about vine work, it's very, very relaxing, therapeutic. You can create great big long swathes. You can work directly from the reel if you'd like to, and you can just sit and watch a bit of telly if that's your thing, or listen to music and create lots of vine work, great big long expanses of it, which you can use later. You can even cut it up and use it in different segments, however you want to make that improve your other pieces of jewellery. I'm going to show you a couple of samples to begin with, and then I will show you a way that you can use it in a piece of art. I would like to invite you to join me for my Monday Facebook Lives. It happens every other Monday on Facebook at 8 PM, that's British time. As at this present moment, that's British summertime. And we have a bit of a chat, a bit of banter, and talk about all things gemstones, and there are some available pieces as well. So to begin with, I'm just going to show you a simplified vine work, which is this piece. Simple vine work, and I've just popped a little couple of coils on the end. For one thing, it makes it easy for me to pick up, and for another thing, it shows you how you can end these segments and how you'd then be able to attach them on to crowns, tiaras, wall art, wherever you fancy using them. And I have made lots and lots of this, and then simply wrapped it around the wrist to make a beautiful bangle entirely out of vines. So this is the simple vine, and this is what we're going to learn how to do first. Secondly, there's a slightly more elaborate design for vine work, and this adds a little bit more strength and rigidity. So even though you're only working with a relatively lightweight wire, such as a 0.6 or a 0.8mm gauge, you do get a little bit of residual build-up of strength, and by the time you've added this on to, say, a 1 or 1.25mm torque, you're really adding on some strength to the pieces that you're creating. It's a very simple way to make a very plain wire torque look fantastic. So that's the slightly more extensive design, which I will show you second. And here is an example of how you can use vine work. So this was a very simple flower design set inside a plain square frame, which I used a perfume bottle for, just FYI. And I've just popped a little loop on the top, so that could be hung as a pendant, or you can just hang that on the wall as you prefer. And the vine work was added afterwards, just to give it a little bit of an extra dimension. So I'm just going to pop that out of the way and show you, this is a 0.6mm wire. It's a little bit tough because it's a raw copper. This particular piece has been hanging around for a while. So what I would start off with is close to the tip of my round nose pliers, close to the tip of the end of the wire rather, I'm just going to start with a coil. And what this means is, not only does it give me something to get a hold of whilst I'm working on my piece, it also gives me the capacity to kind of unwind this later on. If I find that I need a little bit of extra wire at the end of the design to kind of bind it on. You don't always have to bind on with a finer wire, a 0.25 or a 0.4mm gauge. Sometimes you can just take the end of the piece you're working with, especially if it's vine work, and you can just use that in and of itself to adhere itself to your piece. So you could add it onto a headdress, for instance, if you wanted to. So once you've got a nice little bit of coil work or some spare wire on the end, we're going to start by creating a simple bend. Now it's coming quite sharply back, much in the same way as the sunray pendant design does to begin with. We're going to create almost like a swoop, like a rainbow, grip at the end of the design, and then pull back sharply to create that kind of lemon design again, which we return to time and time again, but it is quite useful. Now if you find that because we're working with a slightly lighter gauge wire, you can't get that sharp bend that you want, what you can do is overly close it and then open it back up again, and you get slightly more definition. Of course you can add a little bit more by just tweaking those ends in to create that squinky lemon feeling. And then just grip the whole piece, draw over the top of the design all the way around once, all the way around a second time, and you continue on your way. Now the wire's kinked slightly here, As I say, I've had this wire in stock a little while, so it's a little bit tough. So if you just treat your wire with respect, it will work hard for you, but we can just tidy that up slightly, pushing those together, and then the wire continues on along the vine. I'm just going to straighten that out slightly. So you can see that we've got that kind of lemon petal effect, and what you can do is moderate the angle just by giving that a push up. What I like to do is just put a little bit of curve into the wire to add to that effect. Now we've curved around to the right hand side, so I'm going to push the wire up to the right hand side and then create the lemon or leaf shape over on this side. So just a little bit of curvature. Pop back in with those straight pliers. These are my bent chain nose pliers, as long as they've got flat surfaces to them. And then again, you can use the heat of your hands, the shape of your finger, just to bring that shape back around to true. So what I'm really looking for here is for the tail of the wire to swoop back across where it comes away from the vine. Take the tail all the way around once, pop that up between the design and back down to continue on its way. And again, if you want to, you can just tweak those slightly so that they have a little bit more effect. I'm going to show you quickly now how to make that slightly more 3D on the basic vine work. I will take you through the more advanced level of vine work in just a second, but I want to show you how to 3Dify this particular design first. So what we're going to do is grip very, very firmly. You could use pliers if you have a gentle touch. I don't have a gentle touch, so I'm just going to hold with my thumb and draw the leaf up and away from the design. Grip halfway along that leaf shape and then pull back down and then back in the opposite direction, much as we did with the sun coil pendant. And you can see that you get that lovely three-dimensional feel, which when you're working with swathes and swathes of vine work really comes into its own, and it really can become quite elaborate and a beautiful framework to any design that you're working on. So what we're going to do now is continue along, and I'll show you how to create the slightly more advanced level of vine work if you'd like to learn. And that's basically, we're going to put a bit of a curve to the left this time, so you're curving right, then you're curving left. Come in with the pliers, create a bend to begin with, back in with the pliers, and then another bend in the same direction. So we've gone left and then left again before we create the curve. So there is a bit of a neck to the leaf design now. Imagine, if you will, that that neck or that stem is going all the way along through the top of the piece here, and then draw that back down. Allow myself a little bit more slack, draw that around to give myself that shape, so that that beautiful leaf or lemon shape comes back all the way around, and the curve transects the top of the stem that we created. Now I'm gripping the entire leaf, but I'm not gripping where the wires actually cross over, because what you will find is that you will over weaken if you press down with your pliers. When wire is crossing over the top of wire, you will weaken it. It becomes very, very brittle very quickly, and you'll end up snapping your piece in half. We don't want that. So I'm gripping the entirety of the leaf design, and the tail is swooping over the top of the stem there. So I'm going to take the wire all the way around, and I'm going to wrap it around that stem. Now if it makes it easier, you can just very gently pull the rest of the design out of the way. You can see the coil is opened up, so I'm just going to scooch that down so that it gets all nice and tidy. Like so. Grip hold of the leaf design and continue creating that coil. Now this adds a little bit of weight to the design, it also adds a little bit of strength. So once you've created the stem and you've wrapped that stem, I mean, I probably would be tempted to put another little coil in there all the way around, and then continue on down the way. So I've slightly deformed the leaf there, but that's reasonably easy to just bring back into the shape that we wanted, like so. And then we can put the little bends in at the tip, and then we can make it 3D again. So you can see that I actually have done that with my hand this time rather than using the pliers, because what I've done is I've slightly stressed the wire by bending it out of shape. So just to show you, if you do kind of make a mistake on your wire, you're feeling it's already gone past like a little bit of a brittle stage, then you can create a bit of a bend using your hands rather than using tools. So just to continue on down, going to draw that around. We had a swoop to the left, so what we're going to do is swoop to the right this time. like so, and then we would pop the pliers in, take a right turn, and then take another right turn. So when you're doing the fancy vine work, you're doing 2 turns in the same direction before you create that leaf shape, and bring it back down on itself, like so, create that swoop, and then just support the leaf design whilst you take the tail around. 1, give myself a little bit more slack there, open up the design slightly, another coil, and another coil. If it matters to you, you can try to keep the same number of coils on each of these, but nature isn't always identical. Sometimes it is, sometimes it isn't. So I'm just going to put a little bit of a bend in the tip of the leaf there, and then I'm going to use my hand to create the shape that I want, like so. So you can see those are our basic and our slightly more advanced advanced vine work indeed. So you've got a couple of options there, and I'll give you a slightly closer look now at the floral art that I made to hang on the wall, and then just enhance with a little bit of vine work around the outside, because obviously it's got a bit of a floral motif. I thought it would just enhance that design slightly and look a little bit pretty and make it a little bit more fancy. So I do hope that this instructional video has been of help to you. If you enjoyed it, please drop a like. If there's anything that you'd like to see demonstrated, please do drop me a comment below. And if you've not done so already, don't forget to subscribe. Thank you so much for your time and for welcoming me into your home. Do take care, and I look forward to seeing you again soon. Bye for now.